Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today, as promised, I'm going to be showing you guys how I make tongs using 4 pieces of metal. I've made several pairs of these tongs recently, one example being these very small square stock tongs. But I need to replace my current 3/8 inch square stock tongs for a couple of reasons. First of all, they're unnecessarily heavy. I don't like them because of that, and also they don't meet up quite right up here at the jaws. So I'm going to go ahead and forge a new pair today. So I've started off by heating up this piece of 1/2 inch round stock. I'm going to go ahead and take about an inch or so and begin making a shoulder. This will be 1/2 of the jaw of the tongs. I'm going to make the jaw about as wide as the round stock itself, so approximately 1/2 inch. Like that. I'm going to clean it up just a little bit, it's kind of lopsided. Okay. I am then going to move on to making the second shoulder right here for the section where the rivet goes. Now this step is extremely important because on each half of the tongs, the shoulder has to be on the opposite side. So the next side of the tongs, I'm going to actually make the shoulder the same way, but instead of flipping it 90 degrees to my right this way, I'm going to flip it 90 degrees to my left and do the exact same thing I'm doing here. That way, the tongs actually meet up instead of being 2 of the same side of tongs, which I know it seems like you should just be able to kind of make the same side and they work, but the angles are such that it ends up that they actually can't twist at all with this shoulder being here. So the second step, because I don't have a hardy tool for this portion where it would just basically be a square of metal that is a specific size, so I can set the shoulder on it and kind of whack this side and make another shoulder. I actually have to take it over this side of the anvil and make a shoulder, and then I'll have to come to these corners to clean up the inside so that there's not 2 angles, because right now this is not actually a flat piece. It's angled, and it'll be the same on the second shoulder. Once again, I'm going to come over this closest edge of the anvil to me. It's called the near side of the anvil, because it's the nearest to the blacksmith. I'll clean up that shoulder as well, just a little bit. So then comes the tricky part. I have to come over here to the corner of my anvil on one side and strike it to flatten out the middle. As you can see, it's much flatter, and we have these 2 weird angles. So then I have to come to the same corner, but flip the piece around, hit it in the same manner to create that nice round shoulder part that we need. Okay. So this side of the tongs is almost done. There are only a couple steps left. I need to get my 45-degree chisel and make this into square stock tongs by putting a square indentation into this side, and then I'll have to do the same on the other side. I'm going to cut this piece of stock right about here after I make this little indentation with that chisel. So right here what I have is a chisel with very shallow angles on it. almost 45-degree angles. Essentially what that's going to allow me to do is put a angled depression in the metal so that it can hold square stock. So I've got my piece here. I can then kind of brace it against my leg, find the center with my chisel, make the first indent. Looks like we're a little angled. That's okay though, that's why you don't hit it that hard the first time. There we go, we've corrected it. So then I can hit it a bit harder. And then next heat will go a lot harder. This time I'm going to hit it quite a bit harder. There we go. And then I can kind of chase it all the way to the back end here. Now if I was making small stock tongs, this is about all I would have to do. However, this is supposed to hold 3/8 inch stock, so I have a specific hardy tool for this purpose that I'm going to go get right now. So what I have here is a piece of mild steel that is essentially the negative of this chisel. So when I put this in there, like that, when I put the tong jaw head there into this hardy tool, I can then whack this really hard, and it should actually spread these two flat portions out a little bit more so that the V ends up being deeper. Alright, so I've got my piece here, start at the tip. Alright, seems to be working out pretty well. Now, there are swage blocks that do this same thing that I'm doing here with this hardy tool. The only issue is I don't have a swage block, so this is my only real way of completing this task. And this works just as well. I'm going to go ahead and start chasing this back to the back edge here. Okay. Alright, this side is done. I'm going to go ahead and manufacture the other side after I cut this off in the same way that I just showed you guys. With the slight difference that I'm going to turn it to the left to make the second shoulder here for the rivet. The next step, as you can see, is to taper this section down just a little bit because you don't want the tongs handles to be that thick. Now, don't over taper. That is the worst thing you can do, and it will ruin your whole pair of tongs. I did it a couple times the first time I tried this, so just be careful. But you may at this point be wondering how in the heck I'm going to get you know, nice long handles like this pair of tongs here onto these short little stubby pieces. If I try to draw those out, they would either end up being extremely thin or extremely short, so that wouldn't work out very well. So that is where the technique of forge welding comes in. Essentially what I'm going to do is heat up these two pieces of steel like this until their outer surface is melting, and smack them together, and that'll essentially weld them together. Now obviously it's not that simple, so I'm gonna go ahead and prepare these pieces for what I need to do. The first thing I need to do is split the ends of these in half and spread them out and kind of taper them out so I can wrap them around this piece. The kind of weld I'm doing is a double cleft weld, so essentially both of the pieces need to be split like this, and they go together like that, and they get welded together like that. This is a very strong weld, good for tongs and other things like that, because it can be done with relatively small pieces, and then rounded out, obviously, so it doesn't look real wonky. But I'm going to split these first. You can do this multiple ways. I like to do it on the hot cut because it's already here, but you can also just as easily cut it with an angle grinder and a cutoff disc. So as you can see, what I've essentially done is cut this piece, split it in half, and then forged these tines down and kind of flattened them to accept the other piece of metal. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to the other half of the tongs, and then I'll make the handle pieces. So now that I have the two halves of the tongs prepared, I'm going to go ahead and prepare the handle pieces as well. Next, I need to prepare the handle pieces. They are much easier to prepare. All I need to do is decide on a length. It doesn't have to be exact necessarily. I'm going to say about this long and mark it. And then I'll make two pieces this long. Then I have to upset them and split them the same way I did with the other tong halves, and then I'll be ready for the weld. Alright, so now that we have the two pieces prepared, as you can see they fit together like that. Then we just need to hammer them together, like so. Bend the pieces down on each other. And then we should be alright for the weld. Here we are. I'm going to go sprinkle some flux on this, get it to welding heat, and I'll show you guys the tack weld. So that heat is called the tack weld. All that does is it temporarily joins the two pieces together so that I can then move ahead and heat it up the whole surface without any fear of the pieces falling apart. I'm going to sprinkle more flux on it and get to the actual lengthy welding process. see, I've got this forge welded and drawn down. I also rounded it off. Unfortunately, I do have a couple of delaminations, but they're not too severe, so I'm not going to worry about them. I still have not perfected this method yet, so I'm okay with that. But these pieces are thoroughly welded together, so there shouldn't be any issues with that. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to the second half of the tongs. So as you can see, I've gone ahead and done the other half of the tongs. I've also cleaned up the profile of the rivet section with a file, and then I've also gone ahead and drilled the holes for the rivet. So I'm going to go ahead and forge the rivet and rivet them together. Then I'll have to adjust these tongs. As you can see, I've got the rivet riveted, I guess. So what I have to do now is a couple of modifications. These jaws are too wide for 1/2-inch stock. I'll have to squeeze them together, and obviously I'm going to have to get these handles to be able to move, so I'm going to have to heat up this section and kind of fiddle with it a little bit. Alright, so I've gone ahead and adjusted the jaws of these tongs so that they line up together correctly. And as you guys can see, the tongs fit 1/2-inch round stock perfectly. They'll also fit square stock since they are V-jaw after all, V-jaw tongs. So the last thing I'm going to do is just cut off the very tips so they are the same length. As you can see, they're a little lopsided. And then that'll be it. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, leave a comment, and please subscribe. And please tell anybody you think would be interested to go check out my channel and my videos, because right now you guys are the only way that other people can discover my channel. I mean, my videos are, you know, they don't get a lot of views, so they don't pop up in the search bar or anything like that. So if you guys could do that for me, that would be so awesome. Thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.